This is why I hate streaming. Let's see if this works now. We're gonna try again. Should be coming through a bit better now. I cut the cable. Is it working better now? Should be streaming a little faster. My settings are all over the place. I'm sorry, guys. The wireless cable's glued together. Yeah, I'm not on wireless. I'm actually wired in, but it should be working better now. I can see and hear you. Is it streaming good? Am I coming through not laggy? Hopefully not too laggy here. Should be a little better. Oh, that's good. Okay, it's better now. I apologize for that, folks. Technical difficulties. It is what it is. I hate my streaming software. I use Streamlabs, and it's, you know, they don't make things anything simple anymore. You'd think they make it super easy, but they don't. It's just a pain in the butt. Yeah, so it's in sync. Looks better. Good. Looks better. Sounds good. That's what we want. I don't want a stream that looks gross. I mean, I look gross, but I don't want the stream to look gross. Hello, I'm from Iran, and your videos are good. Hello, Fahim Dehagni. I appreciate that. A follower from Iran is actually quite surprising to me. I thought I'd have most of my haters from Iran, so I appreciate you being in the stream today. It means a lot. I'm glad you like the channel. I'm glad you like the videos, so hopefully I'll be able to provide more. If you want me to do some videos on Iranian equipment, I certainly will. I've tried my best to be non-biased on this channel and be a little sort of chill. So if you want me to do some equipment on Iran and talk about Iranian equipment or tactics, I'm more than happy to do so. So, yeah. So, hello, good Persian person. Piet Fari, damn, it's almost bedtime. I believe you're probably in France, and you're probably 7, maybe 8 hours ahead of me. So yeah, it's probably getting a little late for you. Hatch Creations, you look great. What are you talking about? Yeah, okay. Look at the jowls. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at it. Terrible. Well overweight. I want another Weasel video, the best tank of all time, pretty please. Tasker66, I've already done a video on the Weasel. It's a fantastic bit of kit. I mean, it's like a go-kart with a cannon on top of it, but I mean, I don't have much more to talk about it. In all honesty, I could maybe do a revision of it. I don't know, but yeah, so. Oh my god, you were in Boogie 298's comments at his channel. I was. He kind of blew my mind when I logged into his channel, and because there was so many videos coming up on suggested about looking at Boogie 2988, and I was just like, wow, what's going on? So I hadn't watched him for years, and then I clicked on him and I just started going into the lore of Boogie. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I went to his channel. I think he has like 1.2 million subscribers. And the recent video he pulled out was like 30,000 views in 5 days. I'm like a million subscriber channel. He got 30,000 views in 5 days. Like, I mean, I struggle sometimes to get 30,000 views, but I'm a low-key channel. That guy's like, you know, YouTube celebrity, but I heard he's done some pretty crazy stuff. So, hello, Darkness. Welcome to the stream. Hi, Matt. It's good to see you live again. Thank you, Tanya Evans. I appreciate that. What's preferable caliber of today's IFV? Surely not 25mm. That's yesterday's caliber. Look, I mean, you really got to look at IFVs in the configuration of what you want it to be. The bigger caliber of gun you put on there. I mean, the greatest movie for discussing IFVs is clearly Pentagon Wars. The mere fact that, you know, the Bradley is just more stuff added to it. You sacrifice other things, right? So the bigger gun you put on an IFV, the more challenges you face. So I certainly don't think 25mm is out for the count. Personally, in my opinion, I think 35 is the way to go. 35 is that kind of compromise between the 40mm Boffa, the 25mm Bushmaster cannon size. 35 has been proven very well, particularly with new ammunition coming out right now. It's a really nice compromise between the 25 and the 40. I think anything higher than a 40 is a little silly. You're starting to get into not a tank role, but you're really going to start sacrificing on space and the requirement of what that gun needs to do. So, you know, 50mm ammo is not small and it's not light. So the more stuff you put in these vehicles, you've also got to remember that in an IFV role, IFVs have to do a lot more work than tanks do. Tanks go into the forefront. They're given ready rack ammunition. They engage a large task force. They engage it and they hold ground. With the infantry, they're moving all the time, so they're going to get pushed into multiple different engagements. So ammunition needs to be a lot of it. You need a lot of ammunition in IFE because you chew through it very quickly. So if you've got a big caliber gun on there, you're going to have some problems. Dude, you have been nothing but professional with your videos. Thank you, Alacote Frump. I appreciate that very much. Matt, I'm arm deep in 3 more panoramic sights this week. Good times. Nice. Matt, it's good to see you, mate. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, Reasons Unknown. 30mm seems to be a flavor of the day. I personally think 35 is the flavor of the day. Are you into any combat sim games? I used to play Gunner Heat PC and DCS and Arma, actually, all 3 of them. DCS, I actually did a couple of videos. You want to go check them out, just type in Matsimus DCS. I flew an F-15. I think I knocked 1 MiG-29 out of the sky. It took me days just to take off in the damn jets. But I actually really enjoyed it. It's just I don't have the time for games like that. It's literally like going to school to play a game. Arma, I played a lot of Arma back in the day. Again, if you go through my channel, I think one of my first videos was me playing Arma 3 in sort of a British clan while I waited to get into Canadian Armed Forces. It was fun, but it was just too much work for me. Yeah, so 50mm, a lot of people pushing down the 50mm agenda, but I think 50mm is too much. It's a lot of weight and a lot of size of ammunition to be putting into an IFV. I'd rather tone it down, give it a 35mm. If you're engaging something with a 35mm AP round, it's going to puncture through most adversaries that it needs to engage, right? If you're going against something, there's a big fur piece flying there. Going with a 50mm gun, it's just too much. It's my opinion anyway, so... I was United States Air Force stationed in RAF Upper Hereford in early 1980s. Remember the Iron Maiden with great respect. Yes, old Maggie Thatcher. And even more fond memories of Great Britain when the pubs closed at 10:30. 10:30 is early. Like, British pubs sometimes don't close about 2 in the morning, so... Tasker66 says, the question is more, is an IFV viable and more capable drones about reconnaissance? You know, I think the real flavor of you know, the 21st century now is drones. Drones is all we ever talk about, for obvious reasons. But I think we need to be careful about zeroing in so heavily on drones. Conventional warfare still is a huge place, particularly with IFV on IFV engagements. Anti-tank weapons are also getting extremely sophisticated now, so there's a lot of asymmetric decisions to make, I think, when it comes to selecting IFV equipment. It's a very, very difficult niche to fill. You cannot fill every requirement that an IFV needs to keep up with. Drones, sophisticated anti-tanks, IEDs, crossing nasty terrain, holding a number of troops in there. There's so many variables. You're asking a lot of an IFV, so you have to pick your poison, right? You cannot make something with the technology of today, anyway, that does it all. It's impossible. That's why you're seeing different countries go for their own specific needs for whichever IFV they want. So, and I think we're going to see more and more of that. So, Thick Beaver, nice to see you. Long time. Been digging through the videos. Well, thanks, Thick Beaver. I appreciate that. It's been a while since I talked to you, buddy. Echoes of the Past, Power History. Hello from Canada. Hello, Echoes from the past, or of the past. By the way, what's your thoughts on the SIG M7 rifle the US military is adopting? I think it's really good. I've watched a few videos on it, similar to, you know, the Rangers and the British Army Rangers getting their new rifles as well. The end of the day, anything new is going to be a benefit, right? I don't think the M4, the M16A2, I think it is, whatever it is the Marine Corps used to use, is going to be needed for the long term. So anything new, I think, is a good idea. Myself, still using the C7A2, don't have a problem with it. I have no requirement to use it for the long term. My artillery guns are the way of my trade. So I don't have a huge opinion on small arms because I'm not a small arms... You know, I don't know enough about firearms to really give a really good opinion. So thanks for subscribing, Susan Wagner. But yeah, it is what it is, so... If I haven't read your comment, just keep firing it and hopefully I can get to you. Hi Matt, I was on the Red Tops in Battis in the 90s. Shame to see it go. Love your content. Thanks, Guy Hindley. Yeah, I mean, I've been to Suffield a number of times now in the last several years. Obviously training. I taught a basic training course in June of last year in Suffield. Ghost town. Nothing there. It's very spooky, very weird, especially from being ex-British Army. Served a lot of my British Army career there. So yeah, seeing Battis quiet like that, like a ghost town, it was spooky. There is still a few Brits there, just kind of keeping the lights on, keeping the air conditioning going. But for the most part, it's pretty quiet. But it is sad. It is sad to see that place go so quiet. So, Can you make a video about chemical weapons? Fahim, I already have. You just need to start looking for these videos, guys. You always ask me to make these videos. I've made them. Just type in Matsimus chemical weapons. You'll probably find a number of videos I've already made. So yeah, go check them out, Fahim. Reconnaissance, more of a threat of drones, direct. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Weasel is a really cool vehicle. It's tiny. It's like the CVRT. I really love the CVRT, but the times have changed, right? And you also got to remember how much it costs to keep older systems and platforms going. You know, things get discontinued, then you have to start making custom parts and hardware because these companies go out of business or they're moving on with the times. So you can't keep these legacy platforms alive forever. Unlike most sort of Eastern Bloc countries, and you know, Russia, they do have a lot of surplus so they can keep vehicles going. You can't do that anymore. Like Warrior, unfortunately, to upgrade it was going to cost more and was a lot more difficult than they had presumed it to be. So they're cutting their losses. Warrior will go, which is really sad. I'm actually going to be writing a letter to the British Army to say, hey, can one Warrior that's going to get sent to the scrap metal yard be sent to the Canadian Tank Museum in Oshawa? Because I think one should be left over. There's been so much history of Warrior being used in Canada, in Suffield. The biggest fleet of Warriors almost in the world was in Canada for quite some time. So I think it's only fair that when they scrap these things, just one of them is sent back to Battis or even the Canadian Tank Museum here in Ontario, and they get one. I think it's only fair. I don't understand why we would scrap it when we can keep a piece of Albertan Canadian history with the British Army here, but who knows? We'll see, I guess. But if you want to help advocate for me, keep sending letters to the British Army or the British government. Say, hey, you know, this guy on YouTube, he keeps saying that they need to send a Warrior to the Canadian Tank Museum. I'm going to make a video on it. I'm going to try and get some petitions signed because I don't think it's right that all the Warriors should just be scrapped. And the history of, you know, the British Army in Canada has been massive. I think one of them needs to go to the Tank Museum, but that is what it is. Callum Stewart, hi Matt, I've been subscribed. You were in the Canadian Reserves and now I'm starting my Remy career. That's awesome, Callum. Arte at Marte, brother. I hope you enjoy your career. As you can see on the side here is my beautiful Warrior 512 and 51. Well, there's a 513 in that one, but I think on my 512 is here somewhere as well. I don't know where I put it. Somewhere out here. But yeah, welcome to the core, I guess. Fiber optic drones can be jammed, much shorter range, but bloody scary. Yeah, this is true. Is the sin bin still open? It is not. There's only 2 bars, I think, left open in Medicine Hat now. You've got, what's it called? The Ralph's Country Bar. Went there a few times last year with the guys, just kind of keeping them safe. And I think the other place is Backstreet? No. Corona. The Corona's the other bar that's open in Medicine Hat. So, yeah, it's totally changed. Medicine Hat it's not like it used to be. So, what's your view on the present Canadian artillery? In what context do you mean? Someone's watching my live stream. They've been asking where I get my little Canadian C3s from. What was I asked? What was I going to ask? Oh, what's your view on present Canadian artillery compared to self-propelled? Yeah, so you know, would I love Canada to have self-propelled artillery? Of course I would. I think, you know, any country that has just field guns would like to have self-propelled artillery. Again, would I like to have it? Of course. There's different challenges in countries at the moment. Getting self-propelled guns, I don't think, is something that we need to zero in on and focus on too much. Again, can't give a huge amount of opinion on there. If I had the choice, though, yes, of course I would have a self-propelled gun. There's so much choice now. You know, there's so much choice in self-propelled howitzers nowadays, particularly for the 155mm. I don't think rocket artillery is going to be the be-all and end-all of artillery of the future, which a lot of people perceive to be, oh, it's just going to be HIMARS, HIMARS, HIMARS. That's all you ever hear is HIMARS. It's like, shut up. Like, field artillery, self-propelled artillery, and traditional projectiles will always have a place on the battlefield. I don't care what anyone says. Rocket artillery will not dominate. It's just not going to happen. So, hello, Joshua. Nice to see you, big guy. Salute, Matt. Good to see you in action again. Hello, Blue Canuck. It's been a while since I've seen you too, buddy. Oh my goodness. Wow. Ultra Canadian. Yeah, well, I speak Canadian a lot now too, so that's just the way it is. What's your view on the present status of our military in terms of funding and build-up? I can't talk about it, unfortunately. I'm a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. It's under policy that I'm not to talk about specific things. So as much as I'd love to give you my opinion, and, you know, a lot of you don't like me that I get kind of, quote, censored. It's not censorship. I just got to follow the rules. I'd love to give you my opinion on, you know, the defense of Canada and equipment, etc. But I cannot do that. So it is what it is. Maybe one day when I get out, I'll unleash a tidal wave of opinions. But at the moment, I cannot do that. So have you done a video on the Black Dragon artillery? Do you plan to visit on one of the last batteries? I don't even know what that is. I feel kind of bad that I don't, and only just heard of that. So you can definitely explain to me what that is. Alberta should become the 51st state. We don't want the rest of Canada. Look, you guys, stop zeroing in on the stuff I can't talk about. It's not going to help the stream. I cannot talk about stuff like that as much as I'd love to. By the way, how's your winter treating you in Canada? It's very mild, in all honesty. We've not had a lot of cold here. It's been really nice. The warmer weather certainly is a little more welcoming than minus 40. But in all honesty, here in Alberta, we don't get cold that is ever really bothered me, honestly. When I went to Halifax, it was colder then in spring than it was here in midwinter. So it's just because of the moisture. It's so dry out here. But I really don't mind winter here in Canada. But it's been very mild, very mild. Tanya Evans, hey Matt, if you suddenly became the fittest person on the planet, were offered a chance at SF selection, would you be something you're interested in? Honestly, yes. I always regret not taking part. Well, it wasn't even just regret. I just did not get the opportunity to do parachute regiment, P Company, or Royal Marines Commando training in the British Army. So you can either get your dagger or your wings. So you do P Company or you do the Commando course. I always regretted not doing that. But unfortunately, every time I asked to go, I was told, no, you're a tank mechanic. We don't need tank mechanics to have wings and a commando dagger. So get back to work. And that's fine. Honestly, I sacrificed that part of my Special Forces potential path in my life to move to Canada. If I hadn't have bypassed those courses and kind of not been given that opportunity, I wouldn't have gone to Canada to do a lot of tank repair and vehicle repair here in Battis. And therefore, I probably wouldn't have even moved to Canada. So, yes, I would love to have done the Special Forces route, done my P Company, got my Commando course. Without tooting my own horn here, I know back when I was younger, I would have had no problem passing it. I did pass pre-selection a number of times in case the courses were offered to me. I was very fit back in the day. Nowadays, I don't know. My fitness is nowhere near what it used to be. I'm also nearly hitting 40. My knees are shot from many ruck marches and running and all sorts of stuff I've done in the army for many years. So, yeah, my body's probably not best suited for it nowadays. Stephen Kinsey, thank you for the $10 super chat. Guys, Matt would love to talk about how the Canadian government sent back in time for the grassy knoll to deal with JFK, but he can't. You'll just have to wait till they're unclassified. I did not shoot JFK, guys. As much as Stephen's tried to imply with his very kind Super Chats donation, I didn't shoot JFK. I don't know where the hell that came from. That was hilarious. But I did not shoot JFK. And even if the documents are unclassified by Mr. Trump, you're not going to find much on me for that. That was brilliant. Oh, but yes, Tanya, I think you were talking about Special Forces. Honestly, Seesaw, I think Special Forces Operation Commando, CanSoftCom, did reach out to me on Instagram some time ago asking if I could help do some recruitment for them. I had some tough times at the time, so I couldn't really do much for them. They wanted to connect with me. They wanted me to do the actual pre-selection for SF. I was going to do it. I was going to do the fitness test, but things just changed. So I'll probably reach out to them again in the future. I'm a little bit more back into my fitness. I mean, I'm nailing the force test. Force test isn't a great accuracy of your actual fitness, but I'm hitting silver on force test, which isn't great, but it's better than, not even hitting bronze, which many people I know who do. But yeah, I would love to try and at least take on the SF challenge, but those days have, in all honesty, sailed by me. If I wanted to go SF, the days I would have done it was probably my Afghanistan days. 19, 20 years old, fit as a fiddle, no obligations, no commitments, could do whatever I wanted, total freedom. It's just not the case anymore. Once you go SF, you're locked in. You really are. You're committing a lot more than just fitness and danger. It's your family, your friends, your lifestyle. It really does go out the window. I know many people in Special Forces both British, Canadian, and American. Spoken to them, good friends of mine. Their lives are tough, and not just tough in the ways you think, where they get, potentially going on dangerous operations. It's not having time with your children, getting sick a lot, traveling around the world. You get all sorts of diseases and stuff going on. It's not fun. So, yeah, I'd love to be SF, but I'm not. I'm nearly 40 years old. It's just not worth it. It's really not. And I have a huge respect for the SF community. As I said, back in my time, if I could have done my commando course and P Company, I would have done it. My commanders at the time said, no bueno, you're a tank mechanic, we need you doing other things. I'm really glad, in all honesty, I chose that path, because here I am today in Canada enjoying my lifestyle. So, are you saying Matsimus is a CIA agent? That's funny. Also, Monkey Fudge says hi, but his server's been quiet lately. Oh, interesting. Oh, you're talking to someone else. I thought it was in MI5. SF is a young man's world. It really is. It's not later on in career, but initially to start. I do know people who are older that have joined SF, but it's tough. The reality is, I've already done nearly 14 years of service in both Canadian and British Army. My body is feeling it. My spine, my knees, my brain, it feels it. So to then all of a sudden select SF, it's just not a career path that makes any sense for me. And the other thing is, I don't want to take positions or spots when I know I'm not going to succeed to the best of my abilities for people who could. So getting loaded onto a course and being like, well, this mid-30s guy is going to take a spot of a 21-year-old who's been working all of his life to prepare to be SF. That's not right. So have you ever trained at Camp Grayling in Michigan? I live there and occasionally hear about Canadian artillery units. Yes, there is quite a few people that go down there to do training. I have not myself. We do have units that go to the United States for their training because there's more space down there. But for the most part, I've not been to really many American training areas, to be honest with you. So, do you have a normal job? I do have a normal job. Unfortunately, I've been on some medical leave for a couple of months. It's been a pretty rough few months for me, actually. But I'm looking to get back real soon here, so I'm really excited. As I said, been a really challenging few months for me. But I'm ready to get back into the swing of things, feeling a little better about my health, which has been a real struggle recently, so that's good. And I haven't been able to do army work either for quite some time for the same reason, so we'll just see how it goes. But I am feeling a little bit more up to beat to get into my normal job. Yeah, Matsimus, do we still do gun camps south of the border? We do, yes. There is British Columbia units tend to go down to Yakima Flats or something like that. There's a training ground either in Montana or Washington that Canadians from British Columbia on the west coast go down to. They bring the C3 howitzers down there and they do their training there because there's no space or opportunity for them to do it in British Columbia because British Columbia is just mountains everywhere. So I think that's why they go down there. So here in Australia, we're finally getting our AS9 SPGs modelled off the K9 Thunder. There you go. I think the K9 Thunder is probably one of the best self-propelled guns you're going to find, for sure. It really is. You do the math. Is it the best artillery? I would say no. Is it the best value for money? 100%. It's the neutrality of SPGs. It's a tracked vehicle. A lot of people don't like tracked SPGs for the maintenance. But I have a massive respect for K9 Thunder. I do think at the moment it is the best self-propelled gun out there. Not in terms of its capabilities, but in terms of its affordability, its features, and its expandability. It can be produced very quickly. South Korea has a very good defense sector. But I do think in terms of capabilities, the best self-propelled gun out there is the Panzerbitz 2000. I mean, second to none. I've talked to many people in tracked configuration. I've talked to many people who have operated them. I've worked alongside them in Germany when I was there. Incredible bit of kit. They are so fast. They used to overtake columns of Challenger 2s and Warriors. That's how fast they were. And Panzerbitz is like twice the size of a Warrior and Challenger 2. So yeah, they're pretty cool. It's either Yakima or Fort Lewis. I think it's Yakima, in all honesty. I'm not entirely sure, so... I wish you the best. Unfortunately, I have to go. I hope tomorrow will be another Weasel video up. Take care, Tasker66. I appreciate you stopping by on the stream today. At Turkey, we have them as Fatina 2, Storm 2. Interesting. Survivability is great for self-propelled artillery. In all honesty, it is, but you've also got to remember that with extended range projectiles right now, survivability isn't as much as a problem. If you're doing artillery properly with self-propelled guns, you shouldn't need to worry a huge amount of survivability. Because, well, there's a few reasons. First of all, if you're getting engaged, someone has really screwed up. Either the infantry or the armoured, or your intelligence is screwed up because they found a flank or a reason to find your artillery, which is going to be quite rare, especially with that 20 to 24 kilometer range of projectiles now, modern projectiles. If someone has found an exploited gap to get to you 20 kilometers away from a target, you've got bigger problems. The other reason is survivability is if something does hit you, a drone, a tank, a round, a mine, you're filled with high explosives. There's not much to protect you there. Most of the ammunition inside an artillery gun self-propelled configuration is exposed. It doesn't have blast doors, most of it doesn't. So if you're going to hit, you're done for anyway. So most self-propelled guns are designed to withdraw quickly and fast. Like AS-90 had the kind of sprint mode button that you could put on to drive quickly if you're getting engaged. And then shrapnel from above. If you're getting counter battery artillery fire nowadays, you're screwed anyway. So they put a lot more emphasis into speed of fire, accuracy, and speed of the movement of the vehicle rather than armor and protection of self-propelled artillery nowadays. So yeah. I thought you typed Yakima, especially. Hatch Creations. Chicken Cat is doing very well, although she did bite me today because she's mean. But I do have a fond love for my chicken cat, even though she's a pain in my ass. Have you seen the video where they shoot the Panzerbits and old tank? I have. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Henry, hi Matt. Thank you for the content you put in 9 years I've been subscribed. 9 years? You've been on my channel for 9 years. Wow, Henry. Well, thank you. I also want to say thanks for kicking off my interest in defense and security and lending my job today. That is awesome, Henry. I'm really glad. I wish my job was pure defense, but it's not. So that's really cool, though, Henry. 9 years. 9 years you've been with my channel. That's crazy. Ironically, guys, this year is 10 years of the Matsimus channel. I started in 2015, so this is my 10th year anniversary. We're going to do a special celebratory stream or some sort of video this year because it is 10 years of the Matsimus channel, which I think is kind of cool. I've been doing this for 10 years, so yeah, kind of proud of myself to get to this point. I would have liked to have hit the 500,000 subscriber mark at this point, but hey, it's just, that's the reality we live in nowadays. So, hey Skippy, how's life? It's going well, thanks. Arim MCP, appreciate you coming by today. Like I said earlier, that one self-propelled, how true shoots on the move. Yeah, I mean, the shooting on the move is very untested right now. I'm not getting my hopes up hugely on that yet. It's very new technology, very new tactics. I personally would be very terrified of being around a gun or around an area of a fire mission as an observer with something I know is moving as it fires. I know technology is very advanced, but even then, a vehicle firing projectiles 155 millimeters of steel whilst moving is a little terrifying. So, hello, your mother. Is the British Army getting the Boxer? I don't know if it's getting the Boxer SP. It is getting the Archer. Archer has been put heavily into their surplus of self-propelled guns. Do you still have your personal C7? I do. My SA-20 or my civilian C7. I still own it. Unfortunately, I can't use it, so it kind of sucks. But it is what it is. Can't do much about that. So, wait, I have not watched your channel for about 2 years. Are you retired now? No, I'm not retired. I've been. This is the thing. This is what YouTube hates my channel, and this causes me issues. A lot of people have recently only just found me again. The algorithm is very complicated, and if you don't produce content on a very regular basis or on a scheduled basis, the algorithm kills the channel. So some people, because I haven't been as heavily focused on my channel for probably at least the last 2 or 3 years, because I've got so much going on, that the algorithms descaled my channel and not sent the content out. Now I'm starting to build more content again. The algorithm's working in my favor, and people are like, "Man, I haven't seen you for years. I thought you'd quit." I'm like, "No, I never quit. I've been doing YouTube still for the last, like I said, 10 years." So, but yeah, it is a tough environment in the YouTube world at the moment. I'll tell you that much. Hi from Turkey. Do you think we'll see a tank bus hybrid model in the future? A tank bus hybrid? I don't think so. I think I know what you're talking about. I do want to do a video on one of those kind of vehicles in the near future. It's actually from Africa. I don't think so. I think we're stepping away from a lot more of the wheeled configurations that are out there. There's so many. I think the Piranha dominates the wheeled configuration of vehicles in the military nowadays, but you want a wheeled vehicle, there's thousands of them you can pick, which I think the market is flooded for wheeled military vehicles at the moment, so I don't think we're going to see a huge expansion of new designs, because there's already so many that exist. Big Win, you've still got it. Yeah, I still got the C7, she's still there. I'm still waiting on your AMX 10RC video. Well, you know, it's hard to do videos on equipment that's very little footage around. So I'll definitely be looking into it. But greetings from Arizona, USA. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Arthur Sneeden. Appreciate that. Andy F. The Weasel is such a goofy vehicle and yet has a ton of potential to give the enemy a massive migraine. A tiny yet fast, heavily armored AFV that could... Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's almost like a R2-D2, right? You can just fly all over the place with a special little tool. But, again, comes back to, you know, what is the future of warfare? Is it purely just drones? Is it, you know, heavy armor? It's so fluid at the moment. I think military analysts for the next 10 years will struggle to define what modern warfare is because it is so complicated. Is the Weasel fitting into that battle scene of today? I definitely think so, but I don't think it's the peak of vehicles that could be utilized for sure. Hey, glad to see you're a beta subscriber since the last 5 years. Working my way through your old videos at the moment, enjoying every minute. Keep them coming. Thank you, Andreas. I really appreciate that, buddy. 5 years again, that's a really long time. Appreciate you being on the channel for so long. I remember you love the FN Mini-Me because of the Bravo 2.0. Yes, I do. I do really like the FN Mini-Me, or the, as we call it in the Canadian Army, the C9. I also hate it. It doesn't work well, it jams a lot, it has a lot of stoppages. They're not looked after very well here, unfortunately, in the Canadian Army, so people give them a really love-hate relationship. I personally despise the C9 as a platform. They fail for me often, and probably most of you are like, well, it fails because you don't look after it or you're not using it properly. I've used LMGE for a long time. I used it in the British Army, and I've used it in Canada. The LMGs in the British Army were not too bad. The ones in the Canadian Army, they've just been beat to a pulp. The tolerances, I'm sure, are a little bit wider than they are in the British Army. But even when I use LMG in the British Army, she used to fail all the time too. So, I'm not a fond fan of LMGs. Now, GPMG, it's a different story. Have you seen any CMARs yet? No, I have not. Frank's Model Tanks. Hey, welcome. Welcome, Frank. Phalanx CIWS or the real R2-D2. You know, R2-D2 could be turned into a Phalanx. That'd be actually kind of cool. You could paint a Phalanx CIWS as R2-D2 and you could make the beep, 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 beep. I can't do the R2-D2 noises. That was my terrible attempt there. I always search your content for you're there. Alex Hollins, Sandbox News on Trucking. Thanks, Guy. I appreciate that. The Canadian C9s are just about 35 years old and their parts just get worn over time. Exactly. And that's exactly it, right? So, but I would, if I was told you're going to war with a C9, I would be actually quite terrified. I really would. I would not rely upon a C9 in combat. And I know I'm not allowed to give opinion on things, but the experience that I've had with the C9 or the LMG machine gun, it's not a good time. Matsimus, they should have taken a hint from the Israelis and made the Negev. I don't know what the Negev is. That's kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. The FN was a great service rider. I'm presuming you mean which FN are you talking about? I'm confused. I'm confused about which FN you're talking about. Alex Hollings and Sandbox News is really good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of big channels popping up now that are just totally destroying my channel, and good for them. I have no competitive edge here or concern about being competitive. I'm just glad people are, you know, able to enjoy it, I guess. So something strange is going on in my chat here. Let's just let's bring this down. That's very odd. My interface is doing some weird things. There should be things showing on your screen as you're watching the stream, but it's not there. and I want to know why. Header. Let's see if I can... There we go. Okay, we'll put that there. Actually, we'll put this here, because at least you can see that. That's very odd. Whoops. Sorry, folks, I'm breaking things here. Okay, so let's see if we can move you. There we go. Some weird things going on my interface here, folks. I apologize. Just going to fix that real quick here. There we go. Very odd. Very, very odd. I'm going to move my stream a little bit here, too. There we go. What the hell happened there? What time is it right now? Right now it's 3 in the afternoon. I'm just going to put my fan on here. It's 3 in the afternoon here. Yeah. I'm in Alberta, actually. I'm not in Ontario. So. News on the Ajax rollout of the UK right now. Ajax is one of those really odd platforms. I want to love it, but at the same time, I've heard a lot of negativity around it. A lot of negativity. So, yeah, it's kind of odd. Hi from New Zealand. Bet you can do a better R2-D2 if you really tried it. No, Jack. We're not doing R2-D2 impressions today. I think he just whistles, doesn't he? FN, I think he means SLR. We were one of the last units trained. Oh yeah, SLR. I never got to play with SLR. Obviously, I'm a little too young for that. But I do have a lot of respect for SLR. They're an incredible firearm. 308 projectile. I mean, you can't be a bit 7.62. I did hear a lot of horror stories about, you know, the amount of damage those guns could do. I mean, yeah. Is that a 105mm projectile behind me? It is. Is it? It's a 3D printed one, but it is one. Yes. Oh, this one. Oh no, this is a 155. There. This is a 155 3D printed 155. Look at the size of it. This is actually accurate representation of a 155mm shell. So that is the actual size of one. I put my hand to it. I got a pretty big hand, but it's big. It's just about the length of my arm. So it's beefy. That's what a 155 looks like. So I'm actually going to be doing a video on these in the near future of what the parts of these rounds actually are. Because believe it or not, they all have a different little section of what it means and how it works. So we're going to do a video on this in the future. But it is actually a 155mm projectile. But it's just 3D printed. Stay. I'll fall over now. Hey, Niabush, Niboopsh. Thank you for the super chats. I really appreciate that. We will go for a beer. Redacted Alberta town near you. Blue collar Canuck can vouch for me. Awesome. I really hope we do. I'd love to go for a beer for you in the near future. Hey, if you want to go for a beer, just message me on the old Instagram there. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram and you want to get a hold of me, it's probably your best bet. Is to go on Instagram and follow me there. I'm not sure if it's in the description box of this video. If it's not, just look for me. You'll find me, Matsimus. Be careful. There's a lot of impersonators for some reason on Instagram pretending to be me. I've had a lot of weird situations going on with Instagram. Very, very peculiar. Ben Foster. Haven't played with the 777 yet, but hoping in the next years. I haven't either. I'd love to do my M777 conversion. I don't see the point in me doing it, though, because I'm not going to deploy. I'd rather let the young gunners who are actually going to deploy go on that course and enjoy it. I'm just going to have to say I've done it. Well, there's no point in doing that. I'm not going to steal courses for people that want to do the course. So, you know, in the reserves, we have a conversion course to M777 155mm. A lot of our young gunners that go and do that then deploy. So, good for them. Let them have the course. I don't need it. So, the XM249 FN Mini-Me completed with the XR... Yeah, SAW candidates. There's a lot of different candidates, I think, for SAW. I don't know if people still love the SAW in the US military, the M249, but Tanya Evans, got to go now. Hope you do another live in the future. I'll try to. Take care. Appreciate you stopping by. I've only been trained on the LG1. I've never worked on LG1. I've heard mixed results about it. You know, I do love, obviously, C3, but... Hey, Scott. Nice to see you, buddy. It's going well, dude. I don't know if you're still in or not, but hope your career's going well. What's my favourite war film? Oh, that's a good question. Lone Survivor's pretty up there. Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down. They're all pretty good movies for me. Yeah. Calgary Stampede, hell yeah. I haven't been to the Stampede for years. I haven't seen it for years. Hey Matt, see you in the dugout. Yes, I am in my little cave here, my little man cave. It's a love-hate thing with the M249. Love it when it runs, but they're old and worn out. Yeah, exactly. So it's the same for us. I also find with the C9 or the M249 that it's just the working parts seem fragile. I know they're not fragile, but when you open it, it's like you're opening a grandfather clock. You know, that when you pull the charging handle back, it's just like it just sounds like it doesn't like being open. When you open a C6 or the GPMG, the FN Mag 762, and you just charge it back, everything just slots. It sounds good. It charges together. But with the FN, or with the Mini-Me or the 249 or the C9, it just sounds like you're opening a clock or a pocket watch. It sounds delicate. I know it's not, but it sounds that way. The Beast, yes, that is also one of my favorite war movies. One of a great classic tank movie. If you haven't watched The Beast, I would strongly encourage you to watch it. It's about I think a T-55 crew or T-62 crew in Afghanistan. Very well made movie. A lot of fun to watch. Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, I like Full Metal Jacket, but it's a little much. It's a little much for me. It's a great movie. It's just not my favorite. Apocalypse Now and Platoon. They're also very good movies. I love that movie about Osama raid. It's propaganda. Oh, Zero Dark 30, I believe that is. Not a bad movie. Not bad. Yeah, exactly. The 249 does feel cheap. I'm still in. Just got back from Latvia. Oh, good for you. Nice deployment. Hopefully you had a good time. Also on the 8-wheel box armored vehicle. Yeah, the box is incredible. It really is. I love its modularity. You can just take parts off the back and put a new component module in. That's really cool. Mini-Me, yeah. Fury, Fury is not my favorite. If you were to pick any tank film out there, Fury would not be the one I would pick. Honestly. Fury is one of those movies that's... I don't know, it could have been so much better. The last scene really pissed me off. Springtime, long time no see, buddy. I hope you're doing well. What do you think should replace the British Army Defender? Also, do you still have yours, Callum? Unfortunately, buddy, I had to sell mine. Really heartbreaking. I needed the money. I still to this day, it's the biggest regret of my life was selling that bloody Land Rover Defender. Wolf, by the way, Land Rover Wolf. I wish I could get it back, but it is what it is. In terms of replacement, I don't think it needs replacing. For a light utility vehicle that can be used to just dot around camp, get onto training areas, keep it going. Why not? There's nothing wrong with them. They work. The parts can probably still be produced for quite some time. Keep a contract, keep them running. To deploy with them? No way. For running around camps, going onto training areas, yes. Hands down, Land Rover Wolf, keep them rolling. But I don't know what a replacement would be. Probably a lot of choices out there nowadays, but you got to think of how long Land Rover's been around. I think it's unfair to just scrap them. Maybe they'll get a new model of Land Rovers, I don't know. So, Kelly's Heroes, I would actually pick Kelly's Heroes over Fury for being a good tank film. Just the mere fact that when they come out of that train tunnel playing that music and he's firing rounds all over the place, those Shermans look beautiful in that movie. How much money do you need to get it back? Oh God, probably 40,000 Canadian dollars. I sold it for a little over that. To get a new one nowadays, you're probably looking at about $40,000. So if anyone wants to super chat me 40,000, I'm kidding. Of course, no one's going to do that. But yes, it's going to be expensive. One day I will. I mean, I've always wanted to have a Land Rover, and I got that. I refurbished it. I got it back to life. I miss it so bad. I miss that vehicle so bad. But it's kind of like a dog that wasn't being able to get sheep, right? The Land Rover was just being used as a shuttle around home, around my hometown. It was really nice to look at. People were, ooh, what's that? But I felt it deserved to be on the farm. And that's where it's gone. It's actually gone to out east. A British guy as well took it from me. A little bit of a jackass, because after he took it from me, I sold it to him. He was meant to pay me back some money for doing some licensing registration, so he still actually owes me about $100. He just ignored my emails and texts, but whatever. But it's going to be used on a farm where it deserves to be, along with the trailer that came with it, the 3/4 ton trailer. But yeah, one day I'll get a Land Rover back, and my true dream is a CVRT. And I know someone who owns one in my town, here, locally. One day I will afford to get myself a CVRT. One day. That is my true dream, is to own one of those. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. Here's one you never heard of, the Objective Sci-Fi Warfare. Oh, interesting. I have not heard of that one before. Have you ever tested or fired the newest iteration of the Carl G? No, I have not. I have fired a Carl G before, but not the newest iteration. Jessica Simp, how about your favourite sniper rifle? Good question. I've been researching them recently because I'm looking into potentially in the long term, later on in my life, buy a 338 Lapua rifle. Been looking at bolt action 338 Lapuas. The Barrett MRAD is a absolutely beautiful sniper rifle. I think it's the Mark 14, so the Mod 0 Mark 14. I can't remember what it's called. But it's the latest iteration for the American Sniper package, so they originally had the Macmillan stock, then they went to the Accuracy International stock, now they've gone to the Barrett MRAD. Oh, it's so beautiful. So yes, I would love to have one of them. Kagan Dunlop. Yeah, he's a really big YouTuber now, like he's massive. I do love his content. He's doing very well for himself. Good for him. He deserves it. I don't watch a lot of his stuff now because, of course, it is quite centralized on the Ukrainian conflict, and I don't like watching people get blown up by drones. I've seen enough of that crap. So I really appreciate his content, but I don't follow it as much as I used to, just because a lot of it does deep dive into the Ukrainian conflict, and I try my best to kind of avoid that if I can. I got enough stress and mental health issues as it is than watching people getting blown up by drones all day. So and I'm not saying he does that, but his content kind of drags me into that kind of algorithm trend, particularly on Instagram anyway. One day, Matt, and the celebration will be epic. One day, exactly. One day I will get that CVRT, and I will be very, very happy, and I'll be making lots of content and videos on it. But for now, you know, life is life. It is what it is. Barrett Mark 22, enough said. Yeah, exactly. A fantastic, fantastic platform. Mark 14 Lapua is a great rifle as well. We now have a Defender My 21 P400 SDNM using the ranch life comfortable. That's kind of cool. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I prefer semi-auto snipers. I have a Mark 11 Mod 0. That's kind of cool. That's a nice rifle too. Yeah, I mean, semi-auto snipers also has a strong niche. It really depends on what you're using it for, right? Designated marksmen compared to snipers. Very different world, right? I think some people get a little confused with seeing a sniper rifle. I hate people who call sniper rifles because a sniper can use any rifle. It's not classified as a sniper rifle, though. It's just a rifle. Snipers can use any rifle. They're not designated for just snipers. So, the average Canadian salary is now 60% of the US salary. Why is that? I can't talk about it. Unfortunately, I have no idea. Guy Hinley, when I win the lottery, I'll super chat you 40 grand. Yeah, I would find a way to send it back to you and refuse. I would never take a super chat of that size. C14 Timberwolf, my goodness, I would love to own a Timberwolf. The Canadian Armed Forces sniper, beautiful, beautiful rifle, but yes, they are very, very nice. I have an air gun. It's pretty much a good air gun though. 50 cal. That's cool. I mean, I've got an airsoft gun. I got my L85 down here. It's just an airsoft gun. I think the first rifle I ever fired was a pellet gun. Actually, no, the first rifle I ever fired was a 22 Lee Enfield for the Army Cadets in the UK. Yeah. I was actually one of the best shots in my detachment back in the UK. When I was a young cadet. I'm not as good as the shot as I used to be, for sure. I'm not sure why that is, though. I'm not sure why my shooting got worse over the years. Transitioning from the L85 to the C7 was definitely an adjustment, that's for sure. Do you know Mr. Henry Chan of 9 Horror Reviews can be a sniper with an AK? Oh, interesting. I've got a number 4 Mark 1 hanging around. That's kind of cool. Drive-by high. My go-to is hand-built foul with cherry furniture. Oh, that's a good choice, the Major. Nice to see you, the Major. It's been a while. It fires a variety of ammunition that I make. I don't reload yet. I'd love to start reloading. I actually met Funker Tactical. So I don't know if you watch Funker's channel. There's 2 of them. Really cool guys. Reggie, obviously one of the major hosts of that show. I met Funker when I went to the Tank Museum for a keynote tank weekend in Oshawa last year. So I was talking to Funker Tactical quite a bit, and they do a lot of precision shooting. I mean, the stuff they do, they got a lot more money than I do. They can travel and do all sorts of fun, expensive stuff. I can't do that, but they do a lot of like long-range precision tactical shooting. Kind of blew my mind how much they do. But they were, they were doing some work with Rob Furlong, which was really cool. So the stuff they were telling me about, the setups they have, because they actually come to Alberta to do that shoot, because the co-founder of Funker Tactical was, of course, ex-Canadian Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. So they wanted to obviously meet Rob and kind of come out here and do some shooting. But it was really cool seeing the kind of rifles they used. I guess Funker brought his rifle from the States up to Canada, and the border agents were giving him a bit of a hard time. But yeah, it was kind of cool meeting those guys. And I got to obviously meet the Chieftain and other YouTubers that were there as well. So it was really, really cool. It was a great time. I had a really great time. Certainly, for me, it was very eye-opening that I don't think a lot of people recognize my face onto my channel, because I don't put my face on channel much, right? So it's kind of interesting being a Canadian YouTuber at the Tank Museum, and not many people recognize me, which is kind of funny, but hey, it is what it is. Angry Cops, Forgotten Weapon, Grand Thumb. Yeah, Grand Thumb liked one of my posts once, which was kind of cool. It was on Instagram a long time ago. I was like, holy crap, Grand Thumb said hello. Chieftain is GOAT for sure. He's awesome. I think he's in charge of his own regiment or battalion right now. So, yeah, really nice guy. I did an interview with him too. I don't know if he's going to post it or not, but we got interrupted mid-interview, which is why he probably didn't post it. Because we had a guy ushering a Sherman through as he was interviewing me with his speakers. He's like, we're in the middle of interviews. I got to move this Sherman. So his interview got interrupted. So we know your voice very well, though. Yeah, I mean, most people do, but I obviously am in a tank museum. I'm not going to be doing a huge amount of talking, more running around. But it was cool. It was a really fun experience. I'm not as well known as some of the other YouTubers, but it was fun. Matsimus, how about you do a video on logistics systems as you were in maintenance role, and would have been an interesting perspective? I definitely can. It's not something that I actually have a huge involvement in. I wasn't logistics. I was armoured repair. So yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. But also I think people just don't really care about it. I've made a lot of those kind of videos in the past of like tank mechanical work, and not a lot of people have had a huge amount of interest in it. I don't mind doing stuff, but it is a lot of work to make content, and if only like 3,000 people are going to watch it, it's a lot of work for nothing, you know. So, does Chieftain have an ordinary job? He has 2 jobs, actually. Well, 3, I would kind of classify as. He is part of the US Army in the cavalry, so he's a senior officer in the cavalry. He's also obviously works for Wargaming quite heavily, and I believe he also is an independent military analyst for media outlets. You know, they reach out to him and ask him for interviews and stuff about tanks, because he's probably one of the best subject matter experts in the world about tanks. So yes, he's a multitude of roles in his life, but a really nice guy to get to know. Do you ever watch Sophline? I did meet Sophline also at the Tank Museum. She's a lovely, lovely person. So bubbly, so much energy, super energetic, way more energy than I have on a hot day like we had in that tank weekend. But she was really, really cool. Love to work with her more in the future, but I know she's busy as well. She dots around all the way. She goes around the globe to tank events. I wish I could do that, but yeah, it was really cool to see her. Really, 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 really cool to see her. Mr. Hughes, I don't know who Mr. Hughes is, unfortunately. You, the Chieftain, Gun Jesus together in a video, you guys would be in trouble. Fun but trouble. Gun Jesus is heavy duty, man. I mean, the guy is the small arms tactician of the world. I don't think he even knows who I am, but, you know, I'd love to do more work with the Chieftain for sure. He's fantastic. I was number 2 in the CAF for rifle, number 3 for pistol back years ago. My skills have faded, but I can still play the game. How much fade there is depends on when you start. It's very true, Brad. Very, very true. That Russian breach block was very dirty indeed. Yes, Oliver, it was very dirty. I actually think I might have got the gun mixed up. It might not be a T12. It might be a D44, 88mm. I think I might have screwed that up, but the recoil mechanisms look very similar, so I was in the moment. We make mistakes. I'm not really trying to focus on what gun it was. The mere fact that they're hitting it with a sledgehammer blew my mind, and some people in the comments are like, oh, but it's a brass hammer. I'm like, it doesn't matter. As much as it's not denting it as much, it's still making impact to a breech block. There's springs in there, there's locking mechanisms, they're all getting shock forced. Just not what you do. There's tools that you use to help you do that, and the amount of dirt they have in there, it blew my mind. Yeah, so I remember seeing you on a Chieftain video that you were doing tank is on fire challenge, recognize. Yeah, so we were climbing out of the Hetzer. Actually, he did a video for me. Me and, oh my goodness, oh, I feel so bad. I've forgotten his name. I forgot his channel. I'm so bad. Oh, what's his name? That's gonna bug me. I gotta check now what it is. Why am I so bad at this? I got like the worst memory, guys. Oh, this is gonna really annoy me. Cone of Arc, that's it. Oh my goodness, I feel so bad. Cone of Arc, myself, and Chieftain did a video on the Hetzer, trying to escape from the Hetzer. If you haven't watched Cone of Arc's videos before, he's got a really good channel too. But yeah, we did a little collab video together. It was a lot of fun. But Cone of Arc's a really fun guy too. His cameraman is also very, very funny. He's a good friend and cameraman for Cone of Arc. He's got a very good cameraman. He has a good laugh. He had a hat that was a fish. Like a big bass. It just cracked me up. Matsimus. There's one from Mr. Hughes. He does a lot of tank and armor restoration. Oh, okay. I'll have to. I probably do follow him. I just don't recognize the name. When Gun Jesus did his video on the C1A1, I went for my safe and checked mine. The one he had on the video is about 35 digits away from mine. That's kind of funny. It's a small world, hey? That's a small world. Matsimus, Sweden. Since Sweden basically loves you, you think about doing a revisit on the Gripen. Hey, Tevin, if you can find someone in Sweden who can get me to come play with Gripen, I'd love to do that. Sweden doesn't love me. I love Sweden. BA Systems and I have a good connection for sure. But I can definitely do a revisit of the Gripen. I do have a lot of respect for that jet for sure, so we can look into it. Maybe one day the manufacturers of the Gripen will pull me out into Sweden and I'll get to fly in a Gripen. Who knows? But yeah. You probably like Steve MRE 1988. Try foreign non-US MREs. Or I've watched Steve MRE 1988 before. He's got some good stuff for sure. Do tanks have some sort of base bleed tracer rounds like the 105mm? No, we don't have base. So you're saying two different things there. Base bleed is a form of kind of rocket-assisted projectile, and tracer is a different. Tracer is inherently something that comes with a base bleed round, but it's not a tracer. Tanks don't have tracer rounds. They inherently come with enough of a size of a projectile that you can kind of see where it's going through its heat and its shockwave through the air. But they don't create tracer rounds as such for tanks. There wouldn't be much requirement to. If you wanted to try and engage a target that you couldn't see, you would tend to use coax to provide location to another. You wouldn't waste a main gun round to say, hey, watch my tracer, and then fire the main gun round. You would use coax as a target, and then follow through with a main gun from the other tank. If they say you're on, then you would fire. It's not a big deal, Ben. Just trying to clarify a little bit for you. French guns are cool. I don't know really very many French guns, to be honest with you, so tracer is kind of unusual on a single shot like a tank gun. Well, yeah, it would be. Like I said, there are tracer projectiles that tanks can fire, but it's not necessary. It'd be a bit of a waste of ammunition to use as a form of target identification as a main gun round. At that point, you might as well just shoot it. But there are tracer rounds for tanks that can be utilized. You can use them for markers. for various reasons, but you wouldn't use it for a target as much because, again, you'd just be wasting ammunition. Mushrooms. Someone's talking about mushrooms. Not sure why we're talking about mushrooms, but hey. Rapid rate, go on. You guys doing some target indications here. Group range indication type of fire. Grit, otherwise known as grit. By the way, if any of you follow hockey, I'm an Oilers fan. And the Edmonton Oilers are doing pretty good. So if you're a hockey fan and you support someone who could potentially beat the Oilers, screw you. Just kidding. Will you be getting the new Canadian Armed Forces uniform? Texas Red, if you actually go check out my channel, type in Matsimus CADPAT MT. So Matsimus CADPAT MT. I did a video on the new uniform, and yes, I am wearing it. My whole unit's wearing it. Most of the Canadian Army is wearing the new CADPAT MT now, or multi-terrain pattern. The new uniform configuration, the actual new style of uniform, will not be coming for quite some time yet. They're still doing trials for it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. But we're all wearing kind of the CADPAT MT. Our tunics and our pants are CADPAT MT, and we have a Tilly hat as well. That's it. All the other equipment is still old CADPAT. So yeah. Suan, what do you think of the 50mm Bushmaster? I love it as a weapon system. I'm just not sure of where it should be utilized. I don't think infantry fighting vehicles should use a 50mm. I think it's just too much firepower. It's sacrificing other areas of which an IFV should be: space, speed, weight. Again, you start putting bigger weapon systems on vehicles, you're more of a target, more of a threat to what's looking for you. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not against it. It's just 50mm is that really weird caliber of round to use on an IFV. Hello, G. Humphrey. Generation Kill reference. Yes, I love that show. I absolutely love Generation Kill. Rocket torpedoes, just simple old-fashioned cool, type of cool. I'd love to do more videos on things like torpedoes. They're quite fascinating. The Mark III Chieftain had a ranging 50 cal. Yes, it did. We actually use ranging 50 cals on other weapon systems, kind of like the Carl G, because we can use it to just practice instead of wasting ammunition. Have I ever watched Stargate SG-1? Come on, man. I was born in the 1980s. Of course I've watched Stargate. I used to watch it quite often after school, actually. It was a great show. I always loved the spears that they hold, you know, with the Zappa spears. They were kind of cool. I still got the Relish uniform. Unfortunate, Ben. It'll come. It'll take time, but it'll come. CADPAT MT does look good, I will say. I mean, it's CADPAT. It's a digitalized uniform. I have no issue with digitalized uniform. Would I have preferred to have multicam? Sure. Yes. But I also really like the fact that CADPAT MT is made in Canada. It's our own unique little pattern. I kind of like that, and I dig it. There's a gun tuber named Miskasho, and despite him being blind, he's an expert historian on the Kalashnikov. That's kind of cool. Dress uni is the same, but they have plans on changing it. Yes, exactly. Dress uniform is also going to change. Looks like it's going to be the old, you know, Army Browns, kind of what I used to wear in the British Army. I kind of miss my old British Army number 2 dress uniform. I remember wearing US UCP ACU. Unfortunately, my contract ended right when OCP came out. Yeah, like the grey ACU was a. I mean, I thought that was going to be hanging around for a lot longer, but it is what it is. Did you join the Canadian Army when you were in Canada already? Yes, I did. I emigrated here. I waited my time. I served in the British Army till 2012. Emigrated here. Waited some time. Worked hard. Got my citizenship. Then joined the Canadian Army. I believe the Canucks of Vancouver are superior warriors. Ha 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 ha. Oh, 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 oh. Yes, no. Have you ever considered doing videos on tank guns that are made for armor adaptation like John Cockerell's company? I've already done videos on them. You guys asking me to do videos I've already done. I have done a video on the Cockerell 105mm gun. You just gotta look for it. I haven't done the hit fact turrets though. That could be interesting. In the war in Ukraine, you see the S60 57mm AA gun, the 100mm diesel MTB. Yes, this is true. They're very common weapon platforms out there. Did you have much time behind night vision? I did. 2 different types. I had my MVS for just driving around in the Warrior. Didn't work very well, particularly in Afghanistan, because of the dust. So most of the time it was just left in my pouch, and you just got used to the moonlight, if anything. The other night vision that we utilised was they're like a rangefinder. So kind of like the Vector Sterner binos that we use here in the Canadian Forces. I can't remember the exact name of them, but they were really, really good. We had them as commanders of the Warriors. We had them as backup. Most of the time I just used BGTI inside the vehicle. Wasn't perfect, but it was better than those sights because they had the BGTI had more range, whereas it was a kind of a sucky compromise. The binos had better night vision, but the BGTI had better range. And in Afghanistan, because it was so flat most of the time, I wanted the range. And I knew that the Taliban and most of the enemy out there did not have night vision capability, so I didn't worry too much about them seeing me. I'm in a giant Warrior, but I wanted that range. So yes, I've used NVGs. I've never used double monocular before. I've only used singular. Wasn't cool enough to have the double. And plus, back then, it was expensive stuff. Technology's changed a little bit now with 3D printing and all that stuff. I think it's cheaper to get MVS nowadays, but for the most part, I didn't use it much because I didn't need to. Again, in the vehicles, we had most of our sighting systems set up for night vision. Where can I get Canadian military cold weather clothing? So WW2717, if you go to GC Surplus, you can sometimes find surplus clothing. It is not CADPAT, because CADPAT is not allowed to be sold. It's actually serialized, believe it or not. Our uniforms, if found on the market, can actually go to jail for selling it. So be careful of what you buy. But you can also go on eBay. eBay has a lot of CADPAT, which again shouldn't be sold, but it is being sold on there. It's expensive though, stupidly expensive. I don't know why. Oliver Brown, I love your technical videos. Thank you, Oliver. I appreciate that very much. Coolest heat round is the warmest one. Yeah. Matsimus, what's your take on the T64 BV model 2017? I like the look of it. Yeah, T64s are incredible tanks. They really are. I'll have to check it out. I've never seen the model 2017. But the T64, I mean, it's kind of like the T80's baby brother, right? Really, really cool bit of kit. Hey, Shell, my main man. Everybody say hello to Shell. He's my brother from another mother in the I nearly said the United States, in Australia. My upside down homie. Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's been a while. I've seen you've been doing a lot of War Thunder streams. I've watched a couple of them, so hope you're doing well, good sir. How have you been making scripts for all these videos so fast? Do you not use scripts? I do use scripts, but I create them by just talking into Microsoft Word about my opinions and kind of research, and then I read it back. So I proofread through Microsoft Word because the annotation feature is so cool. Like, I can just talk to Microsoft Word and then it just processes it. So I can make scripts quite quickly if I just talk into that system and then refine the details. I don't always make the scripts great. I make errors because I'm trying to cross-reference lots of different research and it can get tough. But that's why. That's how I can produce them quite quickly. Is technology is adapting. Microsoft Word is pretty good. Matsimus, quick question, Matt. How did you like Gagetown? Gagetown? I've never been to Gagetown, Humphrey. I've never been to Gagetown. I'd love to go, but I've never been there before. Did any of your rank from the British Army carry over to the CAF, Canada being a Commonwealth nation? So my rank did not transfer over. My only qualifications that transferred over was basic military training, and at the time it used to be called BMQ Land, or Basic Military Qualification Land. So basically, my basic training was bypassed, and thank God it was, because I did a year of basic at Army Foundation College, Harrogate, one of the longest basic training schools out there, other than the Royal Marines Commandos, and I didn't want to have to do it again. So I'm really glad the CAF bypassed that, but they couldn't give me my rank and stuff back because I wasn't a gunner. I was in the REME, so I had to change trades, do my DP1, my trade school and artillery school, become a gunner, and then work through the ranks from the start. So I got a bit of a head start, but for the most part in the artillery trade, I started from rock bottom and worked my way up to sergeant. So, yeah. Is the Canadian Army issued cross-country skis? No, we're not issued them. Some units are, but they have to be specialised, but we do have them. We are all required to train and learn how to use cross-country skis. We do a course called Cold Weather Operator Course. There's actually a couple going on right now in my local area with my units. And you have to learn how to operate in the snow in extreme cold weather environments. And one of those activities is cross-country skiing. So that is a skill that we do learn. So is snowshoeing. I know snowshoeing, you might think, well, that's easy. It's actually not. Snowshoeing is a bit of a technique. It's a bit of a skill that you need to learn. It's not as simple as just tromping around in the snow, particularly in the army, because you've got different things to consider. It's not about just walking. You've got to consider the equipment you're bringing, the toboggan you're pulling, the sections you're working with, hydration. It's so much involved. So the cold weather operator course is very useful. I think a lot of people discredit in thinking, well, what's the point? I know how to live in Canada. I've lived here all my life. It's a totally different world in the army when you're operating in the cold. I really enjoy the cold weather operator course, actually. I was supposed to be a course warrant for that. That's ongoing right now, but unfortunately, due to my work restrictions and medical situation, I couldn't do that, so it is what it is. One Penny Pot Lane. Holy crap. I have not heard that name of that street for so long. Penny Pot Lane. That is the street on which Army Foundation College Harrogate is on. Holy crap. The fact that you said that, guy, has just brought back a flood of memories. Wow, that is funny. Penny Pot Lane. Yeah, that was the road on which Army Foundation College Harrogate was linked to, and where you showed up on your day one of basic training. That's so funny. Well, Matt, I have to blame you for my current obsession with miniature wargame World War III Team Yankee. Oh man, do you know what? So many people have wanted to try and get me into Team Yankee. Again, if I had the time and the money, I'd love to play games like that. When I retire in many years' time, maybe that's something I'll get into, is miniatures and miniature wargaming. But I've got too many hobbies as it is already right now. I can't take up another one. But yeah, how long is the cold weather operator course? If it's done in succession, like next one, I think it's about 3 weeks. If it's broken up, it's obviously several weekends and some weeknights, but normally about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, is the full course if you play it back to back. I got my CWO next weekend, but there you go, Ben. I recently learned about the Canadian Rangers. Have you ever worked with them? And they're sort of joke like, hey, look, Canadian Rangers are no joke. I know people make fun of them, and it's actually really disappointing because you want to talk about people who are robust and people who know how to live off the land. Those guys know how to. Oh, but Matt, they wear a red hoodie and they only get a Tika T3 bolt-action rifle. They don't need all the equipment that we have in the primary army because they're not there to do that. They're the eyes and the ears of the Northern Territories. I have so much respect for the Canadian Rangers. Merely for the fact that they know that they are the forefront of the eyes and the ears of the Northern Territories that are the most harshest environments to live in. I'm talking about totally isolated. You're on your own. You've got no support. There's no trucks coming for supplies. There's no helicopters dropping off. There's no radio communication. You are on your own with a, snowmobile and your own tools, and you just got to survive, honestly. And not all of them are like that, but a large portion of them are. I could never do what the Canadian Rangers do. There's no way. I wouldn't last 10 minutes. They don't need a ton of extra equipment. They need a rifle to protect themselves if they come across any other kind of reconnaissance party or wild animals, but they are a reconnaissance element. They are not a fighting reconnaissance element. They are there to monitor and observe, and they do very frickin' well at it. To send me up there, I would have no idea how to lay the land, how to understand how to cross ice flats. These guys have lived there all their lives through generations of family heritage and lineage. So the Rangers are the most elite, and I'll say this hands down, are the most elite recon elements of the Northern Territories of Canada. And you got to look at the size of Canada. They are self-independent soldiers that can do their own thing, which is why they are honored to wear the red hoodies, because they're unique. They are given the privilege of being an independent entity. They're not, quote, a militia, but a huge respect for Canadian Rangers. I've never worked with them. I know many people who have. Huge amount of respect for them also. Personally, I feel like they could probably get even more support, but they're really, really cool. Really, really, really cool. Yes, they do a very important job for Canada. So, yeah. Hey, that's actually a really good point. If you guys could slap that like button, that'd be really, really, really nice. If you could hit the little thumb button on the stream, it would actually help quite a bit. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Slap that like button! Yeah, I mean, they really are. I know this sounds strange, but they are like scouts, adult scouts, with weapons, right? And that's why they get made fun of. They're like, oh, they're just like scouts. But the Rangers are there to do a specific purpose, and they do it very, very well. How do you heat your tents in the field during winter? That's such a good question, Hagen. We heat our tents through stoves. So we have Coleman stoves, 2-burner stoves, and we have stove watch. So at night, someone will stay awake and actually continue filling and refilling the stove and keeping both burners running at night at all times. We also have a lantern in there. So we have a 2-burning stove and a lantern. The lantern produces heat too. That gets hung on the middle of the hook of the tent. And that heat, plus with the 10-man tents that we get, the Arctic tents with the liners, keeps a lot of heat in there. And it'll keep us warm for a long period of time. We can get wood-burning stoves that we can put in there too. I've never used one before. I know in the extreme cold you can get them. But the 2-burning stove and the lantern keeps us fairly warm, plus us Arctic sleeping systems keep us pretty warm. But yeah, it's naphtha fuel, so it burns very clean. If it's not combusting correctly, you can get very bad pink eye or red eye from the combustion not working correctly. But for the most part, it's fairly toasty in there. It's not enjoyable when you have to get out of the tent. But it's a very important role being on lantern duty. It's actually nearly as dangerous as if you fell asleep on stove watch inside of a tent. It's a chargeable offence. The reason for that is if you fell asleep and did not wake up to deal with potentially an exhaust or a fume problem, everyone in the tent's going to die from poisoning. So you're making risk of other people's lives by falling asleep and not paying attention on stove watch. If I catch soldiers on stove watch asleep, it's not a good time. I kind of set it as the exact same standing as a sentry at the apex of a hide with a C6, because there's 9 other people in that tent whose lives depend on you paying attention to that stove. So if you're doing a cold weather operator course, take respect to that stove and lantern, because it can kill you if you're not careful. So yeah. Do you think the Danish Sirius patrol in Greenland are good Matsimus? Honestly, I've never heard of them. I think any patrol that works in extreme environments, and Greenland I know is certainly not the warmest environments, is probably a harsh role to be in, so they're probably pretty good at what they do. Did you do your phase 2 at Arborfield or Borden? Also, have you been to Lineman since the remove here? I have not. I did my basic training at Borden, which I believe is now closed and being sold off as housing estates or whatever else it is now. So I was in Borden fairly close before they closed. I had a great time in Borden. Best 7 months in the Remy, in all honesty, was nearly in Borden. Also sucked many times too, but I had so many good times there, so many good memories. My room actually in Borden was right underneath the bell tower. I remember it clear as day. It's good times. Hi, since you made a video about the DETA, did you notice that they have been recently deployed to Ukraine? I do know that. Looks like they've been operated by 2-man crews as counter-battery units are using MRSI. Yes. I think counter-battery is pretty obvious in Ukraine for any systems nowadays, but DETA is a very cool bit of kit. You're in the artillery and haven't been to Gagetown? No, I have not. I've been to Shiloh, but I have not been to Gagetown. I've been to Shiloh quite a few times, actually. I pee on a watertight bag and keep it in my sleep bag. I also heat stones, place in my bag. Hey, if it works, it works. Why not, right? Lashing Moore. What's your relationship with Bespoke Law Leather? They are a fantastic company. I do actually have to do a giveaway. I've still got a giveaway to do for them. Unfortunately, I had to take my video down for it because I had a big problem with social media in the Canadian Army. I wasn't allowed to promote stuff in CADPAT. Got in some trouble. But Bespoke Law Leather, great group. They make stable belts and all sorts of other leather stuff. I have one that I'm going to be doing a giveaway for. Haven't done it yet because I've just been overwhelmed with other stuff going on, but they really good stuff. Definitely go check out the website. Bespoke Law Leather, if you like stable belts, if you're in the CAF, or even in the British Army, they make really nice stable belts. Speaking of Canada, the Canadian military is the best version of the M16A2 because it's been kept in full auto instead of the infamous 3-round burst. I like the C7A2. I don't have any problems with it. Borden is nice. Yeah, Borden is nice. It's a nice area for sure. Oh no, hold on. Borden in the UK, not Borden, Ontario. Be careful. By the way, great video on the Vasilic. I don't think I was saying it right, but thank you. I appreciate that. I've never been to Shiloh. Ooh. Shiloh is it's a special place. It's a special place. Take care, Arim Shimp. We use wood in our tent stoves. In Sweden, are using kerosene or diesel fuel. We use naphtha. We use naphtha in our stoves. naphtha is what we primarily use. We can use wood-burning stoves, but we tend to use naphtha because we don't have a lot of wood in certain areas of Canada. For instance, like the prairies, there is no trees. You're in the prairie, right? It's literally like a grass desert. So we don't have the ability to chop down trees and make wood stoves. So we bring naphtha with us in our toboggans. We usually take about 3 or 4 like jugs, small jerry cans of naphtha, and that'll last us for a good, probably a week, and then we need a resupply, but it depends on how cold it is. But if it's extremely cold, and in our toboggan we've got like 4 naphtha jerrys, probably lasts us for maybe 5 or 6 days if it's extremely cold. If it's not as cold, we could probably make that last for a little bit longer, but you are required in extreme cold environments to set up a lantern and stove watch. There's some tent crews who will try and get lazy and then be like, well, let's just not set up a stove and lantern tonight so that everyone can sleep and we'll just be a little colder. There's no ifs or buts. If you're in a certain cold weather environment and you do not have a stove and lantern watch, you're going to be in shit. Like if I caught a tent crew in extreme cold environments not putting in one, that's a problem. They have to learn to work with cold weather environments. I've still got the 425s as well. I got 3 of them. They're collectibles, believe it or not. If you can find the old ones, they collect the collector's items. If they're in good condition too, I've got 3 of them in really good condition. They're worth like $300. Like they're really worth a lot of money. They're still in the boxes too. Exactly right. Wood stoves are not as useful sometimes in certain environments. I was in Harrogate ASC when it was raw signals in 1991. That's funny. This is a reminder to hydrate with tea. Yes, in the cold weather environments, you've got to hydrate as much as you can, because I'll tell you what, you very quickly can find out that you're totally dehydrated when you're about to do something really arduous in the cold, and you're like, well, it's cold and everything's wet and snowy, so I'm hydrated, because your brain plays tricks on you and you're not, and then you're down and out. So hi Matsimus, I can't hang around, but it's good to see you live. I love your videos, keep up the great work. Thank you, Nudgeworth, I appreciate that. Hey HG1, hi guys, hope all good. I hope you're doing well, HG1. Appreciate you stopping by today. I hope you're all doing well, to be honest with you. I appreciate you all stopping into the stream. We're at 77 people watching today. 77 people. Naphtha lantern. Yes, the lantern is naphtha too. If you have a small tent, even a candle helps, but make sure it's in the lantern light cup. Yes, exactly. So that's another thing you've also got to be really careful with working with naphtha stoves and things like that is, well, you can catch fire real fast. So if you're emptying or refilling your stove, it's always done outside of the tent. Always. Again, you get a lot of trouble if you fill your stove or lantern inside the tent and it catches fire. Launch it out the tent door. Like literally throw it out the door. They're actually designed so that you can hold them in a certain way so you can throw them out the door without damaging yourself or catching others on fire. Do you guys have dedicated snow camo? We do. We have whites. They're called winter whites. It's basically like a throw-over, jacket, very thin material, and pants. They're super lightweight. They're not waterproof, but they'll kind of resist water a little bit. And we just throw them on the over top of our gear. We do have specialized units that they can spray paint their gear and get specialized kit. We do have mucklucks, which are our snow boots that we wear. They're white inherently. And then we have white helmet covers. Everything else, for the most part, you can either white tape or your ruck covers. Your ruck covers are also white. So winter whites can cover most of your equipment. The only thing it can't cover is your tack vest. However, the winter whites actually have 2 very large pouches in the front that you can put your magazines in. So if you wanted to do a firefight or a section attack, you could do them in your winter whites and have the magazines in the front pouches of the winter whites, but very not recommended because you can lose them pretty quickly. So yeah, but we don't have dedicated camouflage uniform. We just have winter whites that we throw over the top. We don't tape our rifles most of the time. Some units do. I would encourage you not to do that. Once you start putting tape on things, first of all, it's going to freeze off anyway. Like, it's so cold that you try and tape up your rifle, it gets brittle and it'll just fall off. So you don't want that stuff falling off when you're working your rifle and damage it or make a stoppage. You got to remember that you're fighting in extreme cold environments. Normally, you're working in an environment that does have like woodland trees. So you don't want to be completely white, because there is natural blacks and greys and browns in the environment you're operating in. So to be completely white actually can be detrimental. It depends on the environment you're in. Most of the time when we operate in the artillery, we tend to have winter whites on with our tack vest and helmet over the top, because there is, when you look at artillery units above, when we put our white cam nets out, there's still going to be some dark areas, because not everything is purely white. You've got trees, you've got breaks, you've got shadows, right? So we kind of mix of green and white together to kind of throw it off a little bit. So we do have the white balaclavas. We tend to not put them on. We do have extreme cold weather gear that we can wear. But for the most part, we just wear winter whites over our CAD pack. Do you chalk your helmets? No, we do not. We basically just wear, again, there's a white cover that you throw over the top of your helmet, white helmet cover, and it works just great. Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways you can waterproof your gear, right? I mean, not waterproof, snow counter your gear. But it's not something I've overly read into, because I'm not in the infantry. I don't need to deep dive into how my gear is camouflaged. I should really be worrying about my gun position being camouflaged, which is cam nets, unfortunately, and they're not a lot of fun. So, yeah. Ron Sear, big howdy one and all, and of course, thanks for your service. I appreciate that, Ron. It means a lot. Appreciate you stopping by. If you could all, if you're new to the stream, hit that like button. It really does help me get the algorithm working for the channel here. Yeah, I do know a lot of people have created like different washes and different paints that they can apply to their gear. I myself have never done it, no requirement to, so. Is there anywhere I could find an image or video of Canadian Army stove? Yes, there is. If you just type in Coleman stove, and you want naphtha 2-burning Coleman stove. They're about $300. It's literally just like a green box with a red can attached to it. That is what we use. Coleman naphtha burning stove, 2-burner. Big red fuel tank on the front, works absolutely fantastic. That's if people know how to use them and don't damage them. But do you enjoy being a drop short? I do thoroughly enjoy being a drop short. The Oilers only 1 point up on my team, the Golden Knights. Boo, Shell, you're supposed to support the Oilers, buddy. You're supposed to be my Australian homeboy. Yeah, Coleman 425 stove, exactly. Wedding dress? What? What are you talking about? Oh, that's funny. I missed the C1A1 if after the shoot. He isn't shooting at me twice. Yeah, that's fair. Have you seen the C8A4 from Colt Canada as a candidate potentially be the new service rifle for Canada? Yeah, I mean, certainly is a good rifle. Again, small arms is not my niche. Don't know enough to... I mean, I do like, obviously, AR platforms and rifles, right? I own one. But I don't know enough about them. You know, I'm not a small arms channel. I don't zero in on rifle platforms too much, because there's just so much saturated conversations about rifles now. And again, I don't think we're going to see a replacement for the C7A2 for quite some time, even though they're going through trials. So we use the pressure cooker for rations. Yeah, so we use pressure cookers as well to cook. They're really, really great because they save a lot of energy. Instead of trying to cook on an open boiling stove, we pressurize it to keep the heat in. So yeah, kind of cool. Matsimus, hello from Russia. Love your vids, bro. All the best. Hey, thank you for following the channel DJ Zed's TV. Welcome. Cam netting is about as much fun as topping a flatbed. Yeah, I don't. Do you know, I really don't miss cam netting of my vehicles back in the British Army, because I was in armoured units, right? So every armoured unit, whenever we stopped in a hide, cam nets had to go up. And like full cam nets of some of these vehicles are huge. Absolutely massive. You get stuck in them, caught in them, and if it's raining, you could stand in a shower and be drier than working under a cam net for 5 minutes. Like, because cam nets absorb the water, and you're working in it. So you're literally like working with a saturated sponge for like an hour, and everything you have gets drenched. And even when it stopped raining, the cam net is holding that water. So every time you touch it, every time the wind catches it, it rains on you again, but not little droplets, huge droplets. I remember being in Poland, and oh my god, the rain. It didn't stop raining for honestly like 3 weeks. It was either tiny rain, it was like Forrest Gump, sideways rain, or rain even come from up above underneath. That's what it was like in Poland. Like, we had 3 weeks of nothing but rain, and I remember those cam nets. I used to tell my crew, I'm like, cam nets up. And they're like, please no. I'm like, we have to. We got to follow the rules. And I absolutely hated it. Cam nets suck. At least on the gun line, it's not too bad. I mean, we do cam net the trucks sometimes. We do the guns as well. But guns are pretty easy to cam up. But the trucks are a pain in the butt. But working on a truck is a lot easier than working on a tank. Because tanks have spiky bits and pointy bits everywhere. And the tracks themselves get stuck. With a truck, it's just a big, smooth, bodied surface, right? So you can throw cam nets over. But tanks, my god. I enjoyed it as well. 22 years of 19 Range RA. That's awesome, HG1. That's wicked. 19 Reg. Is that AS90? It's got to be. I think 19 Reg is AS90, or maybe it's MLRS. I can't remember. I don't think it's light gun, because the light gun's left for the horsies, right? What's 19 Reg HG1? I believe it's AS90. Maybe I'm wrong. Do they have sled dog training? It's a good question. I think we do have sled dog training courses, but we don't technically get shown them. I think that's, again, left to the Canadian Rangers or units that attach to the Canadian Rangers in the extreme cold up north. But it is a course, I think, available, I'm sure. Hexi blocks, yeah. We don't use Hexi blocks here in Canada. I used to miss using Hexi blocks in the little, you split them open, you put your mess tin on top. Great bit of kit. Honestly, those Hexamine block stoves, they were great. I mean, they'd last you a week, or maybe just under a week. Little blocks cook your food. They were great. I always remember the smell of Hexamine. Never forget that smell. Are you ready to become a part of the USA? Yeah, no thanks. Raining while training, you'd have thought. Who'd have thought? I know, right? I mean, raining while training is... Yeah, no, Poland was awful. It's just like 3 months of my life I'll never get back. And then honestly, for those 3 weeks, it just did not stop raining. I've never been, like, all my gear was wet. It doesn't matter what you do, you'd be wet. Particularly in an armoured unit. You think, oh, well, you're in an armoured unit. You got nice heaters and, you've got shelter and you can hide inside your vehicles. Wrong. If you're in an armoured vehicle, you're hatch out, so you're at least the top half of your body, like what you're seeing right now, is exposed to the elements because you're observing, you're seeing where things are. Even if you're half hatch, which the Warrior did not have. So on the driver's compartment it did, but the cupola you didn't. The commander's hatch didn't. So the CV90, which I actually absolutely love, has what's called half hatch. So you can close the hatch like down, and then it has a slit that you can still look through, and then it can close fully. So it kind of slops down, then there's a gap and it locks down. The Warrior is just that. That's all it has. So you're stuck. This is exposed to the elements. So you have like your schmag, your face mask, your goggles, your helmet, and your crew headset on, and you're drenched. And it's like a wick, right? It's like getting a towel, putting it into a glass of water, and then just dragging the towel over. The water wicks down to the edge of the towel, right? Because you think, oh, it's dry. That's what happens. This top half of you gets soaked, no matter what you're wearing, even if it's waterproof gear. It drenches down all the way into your boots and into your socks. Driver's the exact same problem. He gets it even worse because he's getting the splash from the vehicles in front of him. He's also kind of channeling all that water into his face because he's only kind of half hatched like this. Brutal. 3 weeks we had of that. No matter what we tried to do to dry our gear out with the heaters inside the vehicle, there was so much moisture in there. It's like a soggy mess. You just couldn't dry yourself off. It was pretty gross. Pretty freaking gross. Rangers use snowmobiles, not dogs anymore. Increasingly quads. Interesting. So Matsimus, I was hoping I could meet you at some point while I was still in. Thought I got close when I worked in Suffield. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Delaney. Maybe one day you'll come back over to Canada, we'll be able to meet. Flying kitchen, a couple of occasions. Range X flying kitchens, yeah. I remember once they brought in lobsters in Suffield in Bathurst. I was like, why are they bringing in lobsters? This is so weird. Yeah, it did smell really bad. The inside of that vehicle was gross. It was diesel, sweaty feet, and like horrible, moldy, rotten smell. Because, again, the vehicle would not dry out no matter what we did. I could have the crew heater on and the vent fans on, even the NBC fans on, which are like big heavy-duty fans to try and dry it out. And we couldn't, because, again, we'd just be on the move, refilling it with water again. Oh, it was just... And then, obviously, as a crew member, we'd be going to fix the other tanks. So the infantry would be pulled up for the night or the day, degunging their gear. Well, the Remy don't have that choice. Once we pull over, we're going to fix the vehicles. So we're in the drenched mud, crawling underneath the vehicles, hooking up vehicles in puddles. It was freaking awful. They're Archer now, AS90 and L118. But when I joined 92, they were L118 and they changed AS. Oh, interesting. Kind of cool. I thought the L118s were only for the Royal Horse. But that's kind of interesting. I think 7 RHA was obviously light gun. What armoured vehicle did you run in? I ran in the Warrior 512 and Warrior 513 vehicles. Most of the time Warrior 512, which is the armoured repair vehicle. The 513 is the Warrior armoured repair and recovery vehicle, which had a winch on the back of it and a blade, which could dig it in. Mine just had the crane, which the 513 had too. But the 513 could recover. The 512 did not have a winch. And it also had less compartmental space in the back, which is why the 512 was better for repair, because we could put all our heavy-duty tooling in the back of the 512, whereas the 513's space was taken up by the winch. But you could still be a repair crew in a 513. It was just a lot more tight. You should have a liner like the ones in the kayaks, yeah. Royal Horse, yeah, RHA, 7 RHA. Is that still a thing? 7 RHA. Yeah, 7th Parachute Regiment Horse Artillery. 7 power. That was the L118 Light Gun Parachute Regiment. They still exist today, as far as I can tell. They were part of 16th Air Assault when I was in, because they went to Afghanistan with me. They were part of the deployment package we had. Did it have any armament? Yes, it did. It had 2 sets of smoke discharges, 5 each side, which are a lot of fun, by the way. It also had a 7.62mm chain gun in a cupola that could rotate 360 degrees, but could only elevate and depress to certain angles because the equipment would be in the way, like our crane. But the chain gun, I absolutely despised the chain gun. It was not a very fun weapon system to use. It liked to jam a lot. Yeah, it wasn't fun. We were L118 because we went into a role in the UK, then 24 Air Mobile Brigade. Interesting. Interesting. Well, you beak, good sir. I appreciate your service. Yeah, 7 power is kind of... It's 7 RHA, as I always called it. I never really called it 7 para. I think a parachute regiment guy would probably punch in the face. But I just called it 7 RHA, and I always knew they were light guns because they were airborne. Yeah, it had a 7.62mm chain gun. So it's from the Hughes company. They had used for helicopters most of the time, which is why it sucked. Is because the belt was dragged into the machine gun from beneath into the feed tray, whereas technically the chain gun was designed to feed upside down, where it would be coming from the underbelly of a helicopter and fed in through gravity. So instead, the machine gun's trying to drag rounds into its feed tray, where it should be naturally, technically, pulling them in the other way, and it would get stuck. It would jam quite often because of that. So I was not a fan of the chain gun at all. I hated it, in fact. Yeah, it was not a fun weapon system to use. I mean, when it worked, it was great, but when it failed bad. Is that what it was called? L94A1? I always forget. Yes, that's exactly what it was. L94A1. God, I remember that thing. The cool thing about it was it did... it could eject the brass out the front. So it was pretty useful. I mean, it's used in most British Army vehicles, but certainly not my favourite. Do you rate Challenger 3? Look, Challenger 3 is a very untested vehicle right now. I don't think there's a huge amount of research yet to talk about because, well, at the end of the day, it's very new. When it's done and finally in the hands of the user, I think we'll hear a lot. But for the most part, right now, it's too early to tell. Very, very early to tell. Sorry, I'm just looking up to see if there's any footage of the machine gun, but there really isn't any, unfortunately. Which is kind of interesting. You'd think there'd be some footage of the chain gun around, but there really isn't any. It's probably because it was so garbage. I didn't hear many people complaining about it in the Challenger 2s. The main unit's the yellow one, it's 7 RHA, 29 Commando, and 19 RHA. That's the ones, exactly. Just pulled the blueprints up on the 7.62 machine gun. I've not designed it like that. Yeah, very. It was a very odd machine gun, or chain gun. Like I said, it was designed to operate upside down. Yet we were operating it in the wrong direction. It's very strange system. Because when it jammed, it would jam the empty casings in the ejection tube too. So you'd have to kind of not only deal with the cartridge and the projectile getting stuck, but you'd also mess around with the casing getting stuck in the ejection tubes. They were really annoying to work with. They've probably been upgraded a lot since when I was using them, but I just thought there's better operational systems than what we had. Do you think towed artillery is coming to an end? Good question. I don't think we're going to see a lot more of it. I don't think we're going to see a lot more of it in the future. In all honesty, I don't think we're going to see a lot more platforms produced in a towed configuration. In all honesty, I really don't. Because it's a change of doctrine, right? And countries are willing to spend a little bit more now to protect their gun crews and set up automatically instead of laying in the guns traditionally that we used to. I think there'll always be a place for field artillery and towed field artillery for the airborne units, helicopter insertion, lightweight artillery, classified as something that they can hoist out of an environment. But I don't think we're going to see the expansion of towed artillery to the level of what self-propelled artillery is being pushed at, or rocket artillery. It's just the way of the future now. It really is. Yeah. So a chain gun, a lot of people believe that a chain gun is called a chain gun is because the link of chain belt, a chain gun, right? Oh god, the bullets are in a chain. No. It's called a chain gun is because inside of the box of the mechanism of the machine gun, or the mechanism of the gun, is a chain with 4 cams, or four gears with a cam on it. And what happens is there's a rotating bolt, a large rotating solid machine bolt that can host a number of different projectiles at any one time. It normally has 4 positions. So it'll have an extract, extract. Oh god. I remember the cycle. Extract, insert, eject. Recover? Something like that. So it extracts the round from the... Yeah, so this firing cycle is pin is fired. So the first rotation is the firing pin is fired in the bullet that is in the chamber. Then the chain with the cam turns with grooves on that thing. It's hard to explain, but the chain turns the rotation of that bolt into the next cycle. So the first is extract. So the pin is fired, and then it's preparing to extract the round out of the chamber. Then the next cycle will be eject. So it is now ejecting the empty casing. The next one is, I think it's retrieve, which is retrieving a round off the belt, like taking a round off the belt, and then I think it's like insert, which is like then putting it back into the breech. So there's like 4 cycles of that round going through the mechanism, and the chain is the timing of all of that. So which is why they always failed, is because if the timing chain wasn't set correctly, or it got too much grease or gunk in there, the rotation of that bolt would foul, it would get stuck, or it wouldn't reject or pull the correct cycle in that sequence out, and it would get stuck, and you'd actually have a little indicator on your chain gun telling you where the cyclic was of that bolt. And you could have like a hard extract, which means it did not do the extraction portion. The claws didn't catch the end of the casing, and it'd be an absolute nightmare. But it's called a chain gun is because that chain is what actually operates the gun. It's an electronically driven system. It doesn't use any gases, so it's not like a gas blowback. Everything comes out of the barrel or through the ejection casing, and the chain is the mechanism, the timing mechanism that rotates the bolt and the extraction poles and all of that, and it's plugged in and it's used an electronic motor. There's no gases involved in operating the system, which is why I don't like it, is because it was designed that way because they wanted a system that didn't produce a lot of smoke, right? So when you fire a machine gun for a long time, it produces a lot of excess smoke. You don't want smoke inside of a crew compartment because you get gassed out. So they wanted to create a system that didn't require gas to be blown back into the firing mechanism to recycle a new round. So instead, the chain gun was selected because, we've used them on helicopters. They work so effectively. Let's just turn it upside down and use the machine gun belt like a GPMG would. Yeah, in theory, that's great. But you're trying to ask a system that's intricately timed to to a chain, to pull something up. And if it misaligns, even by a fraction, it gets stuck. And that's why it was a pain in the ass. So, yeah. How many different types of ammunition can we choose in a chain gun? Any 7.62 could have been put in it. Really, it wouldn't really have an issue. What's better quality in the Western armies or quantity like Russians army? I don't know how to answer that, Richard. Robert Mahu, I thought you retired from YouTubing. Absolutely not. No. No, a lot of people have thought that. I haven't retired from YouTubing. I've retired from making content for the Canadian Armed Forces a little bit, but not from YouTube, but entirely. No, definitely not. Well, folks, I think we're going to call it quits today. I've had a good time chatting to you guys. It's been a good time. If you guys want to see more live streams, let me know. Of course, liking that button, clicking that thumbs up button does help quite a bit on the old algorithm. More videos to come. Going to be releasing more videos in the near future. Try my best to anyway. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. I know a lot of you have been kind of like, where have you gone, Matt? It's just the way the algorithm works. I've been making content for almost 10 years. This is my 10th year of producing content on YouTube. Really exciting. Probably going to do something to celebrate that this year. Yeah, go check out my recent videos. I've done some videos on some Russian equipment, the Growler, EA-18G Growler, all sorts of different stuff. So appreciate you all being on the chat today, being in the stream. We'll try and do some more in the near future here. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. If it's not Sunday for you and you're going into Monday or it's late at night or wherever time of the day it is, have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope you have a great week too. And Pirated Window Enjoyer, sorry you just got here. Sorry, dude, I have to go. It's been a long stream, so I thought I'd cut it a little shorter today. So, once again, folks, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.